Welcome to the tutorial practice review for Vocabulary and Context 1.1. So, Chapter 1 is your vocabulary and context. So, again, as a reminder, when you don't know the meaning of a certain word, you have to use the context clues. And context clues are where you're using inference skills or guessing skills, using the evidence around it, using the words around it to figure out what the meaning is. So by eliminating some of them based on your own personal information or possibly just what you know, given the evidence that they do give you in the sentence, you have to figure out the definition of the word by using the context clues. So, and that is what Chapter 1 in your Advanced College Reading Skills it talks about. And again, one of the important things when it comes down to trying to figure out the vocabulary meaning, yes, you could Google search it or you could look up in your glossary. But what happens when you're taking an exam? Or what happens if the textbook does not have that term in the glossary? So again, it's just best to try to figure out the meaning of the word based on the context clues or the words around it and what they give you. So let's look here. This is what your assignment will look like. So for vocabulary and context 1.2 practice. So question 1 we have here. President Calvin Coolidge was so reticent that he was nicknamed Silent Cal. So based on this, we have reticent. Does it mean powerful as a speaker? Does it mean popular, uncommunicative, or well-known? Well, the fact that he was nicknamed, so a nickname is something other than, so it's a name that he's known other than his actual name. So he's nicknamed Silent Cal. So the fact that he's silent, Cal standing for Calvin, would tell me that he is silent or possibly doesn't speak. So it can't be powerful speaker because someone that's silent can't be a powerful speaker nor popular. So between uncommunicative and well-known, the best answer is going to be, again, based on Silent Cal. So reticent must mean uncommunicative, because when you're uncommunicative, you are going to be silent. You're not going to, again, you are not going to be loud or be this powerful speaker. You're more silent. You're relegated and you're reticent. So you hold back. So that's why they call him Silent Cal. Number 2, the paramount duty of the physician is to do no harm. Everything else, even healing, must take second place. So paramount. So the fact that they say, and here's a key word. So again, we're talking about physicians or doctors even, or anybody in the medical field. The fact that they say everything else must take second place. So paramount must be something that takes first place because everything else is second place. So the fact that they say that here, that must mean, oh, it's not successful, not mysterious or least. Again, paramount means something that is at the pinnacle, that is first place, not second place, because everything else takes second place. It would be chief. So paramount means chief or most important or top priority. Number 3, ideas about decorum change greatly over time. In our society, for instance, until relatively recently, polite people did not appear bareheaded on the street, and a man always tipped his hat to a woman. So again, we have decorum. So again, they're talking about decorum that changed over time. So what changed over time? So they give us an example here by saying, for instance, until recently, polite people did not appear bareheaded. So they had something covering their head. They tipped their hat to a woman. So that is something that they did not appear bareheaded. So that's what that means. That they always tipped their hat to a woman. So obviously they were wearing a hat. So the fact that they say decorum changed greatly over time. So at one time, they did not have bareheaded. on the street, and the man always tipped his hat. So the fact that they're saying something polite people, so they even say polite people, so we know here it's some kind of rule or some kind of behavior overall, because they're saying the actions of the people. So decorum, it's not beauty and it's not physical fitness, because we're not talking anything about physical fitness either. We're just saying when the man is walking down the street and he tips his hat to a woman, that would be the proper behavior. So again, as you see here, we're just going over, and you're just, again, this is just to get into the insight of what to expect when it comes down to vocabulary and context. Number 4, the expert witness in the lawsuit chose his words with great care. He didn't want anyone to misconstrue his statements. So misconstrue. So the prefix mis means not or against. So like a mishap, like they had an error or something that was not planned. So we know the prefix here, mis, means not. All right, so misconstrue his statements. So the witness chose his words great care because he didn't want misconstrued statements. So obviously he wanted to be there and chose them because, again, not that he wanted to repeat or recall. He just wanted to make sure that nobody would misinterpret or interpret incorrectly his statements. So misconstrue is misinterpret based on the information they give you. Number 5, repugnant. The fatty food was so repugnant to Fran that she could not force herself to finish the meal. So the fact you hear fatty food and it sounds a bit negative or disgusting. When you think of repugnant, or and it might look like a word like repulsive. And so because you can see here REPEPU is like repulsive. So when you think of repulsive, or the fact that that she had to force herself to finish the meal, so obviously she did not want the meal. She did not like it. So this means that repugnant means disgusting. Okay, it was disgusting. And then also a trick is, when doing the context clues, always plug in a word. See if it makes sense. The fatty food was so disgusting to Fran that she could not force herself to finish the meal. That's just a quick little tip, and it makes sense. So again, that is repugnant. Disgusting. Number 6, when reporters asked if he would be a mayoral candidate, again, the mayor would only equivocate, saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, I still feel that public service is a high calling." So again, when they asked him a question, did he answer it? And technically he didn't. He says, "I still feel that public service is a high calling." So they asked him a question, a yes or a no, and he didn't answer it. He didn't deny it either, and he didn't forget. He was purposely unclear. So he was ambiguous. He was unclear. He didn't say yes and didn't say no. Number 7, by forming a coalition, the small political parties gained more power in the government than they each had separately. So coalition, they formed something. A coalition, the small political parties gained more power in the government than they had separately. So obviously they had these parties, and when they say joined or formed, that means then they must have done, instead of separate, they were a partnership, right? Because again, they're not separate, that they had separately. So it's showing that instead of them being separate, they partnered up. Number 8, some people seek vicarious experiences. For example, the stage mother claims success through her child, and the peeping Tom, who is emotionally disturbed, gets sexual pleasure from spying on others. So vicarious experiences. For example, the stage mother. And so if you don't know what a stage mother is, those are a stage mother is someone who it's usually a mother who is pushing their young daughter or son to be an actor or an actress or dancing or something to do with entertainment, and they push them, and they could be 4 or 5 years old, or again, like my child's the best, and they push him and they keep pushing him and trying to again push them to be successful, and pushing them very hard to try all these different things. So vicarious, when they say success through her child, claim success through a child, or that they pleasure from spying on others. So the fact that they do this, so it's not them directly, it's them being indirect. So they're using somebody else's experience or using someone else to get their success or pleasure. So it's indirect. So again, you plug it back in. Some people seek indirect experiences. For example, the stage mother claims success through a child, and the peeping Tom, who is emotionally disturbed, gets sexual pleasure from spying on others. So they're not there participating or anything. They are really living their experiences through someone else indirectly. Number 9, the noxious fumes from the chemical spill made people so ill that some had to go to the hospital. So when you think of noxious, and the fact that it's a chemical and then they had to go to the hospital because they were ill, that means most likely it's unhealthy. And then 10, in the cartoon below, revitalize means, so you see a picture here. Knock it off, honey. I'm trying to learn how to revitalize our relationship. So when you revitalize it, and you can see the book here, even the illustration, and in some of your assignments, you're going to see an image or illustration. And so you'll have to use those clues. So we have here how to be more romantic. And he's reading this book or magazine. And again, to revitalize, when you think of vital, it's like life. So re means again. So again, something to do with life. That means bring new life. And again, it's your vitals, like your vital signs or your life signs. So your heartbeat, your pulse, and so on. So this brings us to an end to the practice tutorial review for vocabulary and context 1.1. Please make sure to keep an eye out and click on 2.1 main ideas, the practice tutorial for that, and for 3.1 supporting details practice tutorial as well. I hope you found this helpful, and thank you.